Hi everybody, set 6 came out today and I've been playing today, and I've also been looking at what the top players have been playing, so today I'm going to bring you the top 10 comps to climb with on the release patch. All of these comps will also be linked down in the description in an Imgur album. So first one up is Fiora carry. You can also use Yone as a carry, but Fiora is our primary one. And so items for Fiora is one healing item is super important because when she casts, she drops aggro and then she will usually heal to full with a healing item. So Hodge is super useful. The second and third item would like to be IE and JG. The reason why Jewel Gauntlet is on Fiora is because her ult does true damage, and so with Jewel Gauntlet, that true damage can crit. It can actually stack up a lot. This will completely counter stuff like bodyguards and bramble vests, just because the true damage just goes through anything. Same thing with IE, just because we are doing so much damage. Pair this with additional critical strike from the Hodge and also from the Jewel Gauntlet. We always want this to crit, to make sure that we're dealing the most amount of damage possible. Some replacement items that can work instead of IE are Deathblade, Giant Slayer, as well as Titan's Resolve. With this comp, we're only running 2 challengers, we're running Fiora and Yone, and then we have Braum and Leona as our frontline, with Braum being our main tank. And then we're running 2 Socialite here. This comp is really good for Socialite as it gives Fiora even more damage, and also gives her mana. She has quite a high mana pool, so she benefits a lot from the 2 Socialite. But if the Socialite spot is in a bad place, if it's not on the first or second row, then you usually want to take out Taric and Seraphine for other units, like you can put in 4 bodyguards, or you can take out Seraphine to put in more of the enchanters. There are a couple of different options you can use, but the 4 core units are Fiora, Yone, Leona, and Braum. You can also go for 4 challengers as well, by taking out Taric and Seraphine, and Yuumi and Janna are just really good units in general, but they can be taken out for other things. It is quite a flexible comp, and it's not been completely solved, and also with a new augment system, we can go for completely different stuff. So like if you get an extra challenger, you probably want to drop either Yuumi or Janna to get in Kai'Sa for 4 challengers. Same thing if you get 3 Socialite, that's super good, then you can actually drop the healing item in some cases, because then you get 30% chance, or not 30% chance, you get 30% healing from all the damage. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this one. Now the next one up is Swain Drain, or Swain Train, whatever you want to call it. It's essentially rerolling Swain 3-star and Malzahar 3-star. You can also go for Lulu, Vex, and Taric, but these 2 are the main ones. So we are going to be slow rolling at 6 with this board until we hit Swain 3, and then Lulu 3 is not something we're going to stay at level 6 for. So as soon as we hit Swain 3-star, we level up to 7, and then we add in Janna. And this is going to be our level 7 comp, and then we get another enchanter in, and so since we have so much magic resistance and healing, we just run Chain Vest and Titans to give him even more damage. And then the last item wants to be another tank item. You want triple tank item Swain. So Warmox is a good one to get more effective HP. Dragon's Claw can be okay if there's a lot of magic damage. Or just straight up going for another Titans or Ionic Spark can also be okay. As for Malzahar item, you want 1 mana generating item, whether it be Splubuff or Sojin, both work fine on him. Morello is there to apply Grievous Wounds to the other players to make sure they're getting bursted down and not staying alive for a long time. And then also Jewel Gauntlet just to give Malzahar some more damage, but you want to prioritize 3 Swain items before any on Malzahar with this comp. We're also running Socialites with this comp, so if the Socialite Hex is in the front 2, you put Swain in there. If it's in the bottom 2, you put Malzahar in there. So the next one up is going to be Jhin carry, and with this build we're running 4 bodyguards. The core units here are going to be Jhin, Orianna, Braum, and Leona, plus a sniper. And then you can also put in Darius and Blitzcrank for 4 bodyguards, and then Janna, just because the synergies fit quite nicely. Whichever sniper you're on doesn't really matter, but Caitlyn is generally the best one, as her ultimate will actually one-shot some units whenever she's 2-starred and staying in the backline. In this meta, there's usually a lot of AD, so I prefer the 4 bodyguard version when playing Jhin. You don't really want to go for Clockwork since you have to run a 1 cost and a 2 cost. And same thing with snipers, the other snipers don't provide any utility, and so therefore we only want to run 2 of them, and just protect Jhin as much as possible. As for items, you just want generic AD items on Jhin. IE is really good to make sure that those bullets that go really far away crit. Deathblade is always good on AD carries, especially the new rework, where it just gives flat AD and doesn't scale into the fight, so then you're just immediately getting that ton of AD. And Hurricane scales super well with Deathblade. And since with Jhin's ability, since you can't increase its attack speed, it's just going to transfer over to more AD. We want to give him Hurricane so that he can attack multiple targets, because he's going to be attacking relatively slowly. Other items that work on Jhin are going to be BT can work in some lobbies if there's assassins and backline access. Giant Slayer can work fine. Last Whisper can be good if there's a lot of bodyguards in the lobby. And also Hodge and Jewel Gauntlet can actually be decent items on Jhin in case you are pivoting from like something like Fiora. But obviously these are what I would consider more best in slot items. Alright, next up we got Shaco reroll. This one is pretty good. You just need to be uncontested. You're going to go to level 7 with this board. The Janna unit can be anything, it's just these 6 are your core. And then as for Shaco items, you go BT, IE, those 2 are core. BT is crucial because when he casts, he's usually going to heal to full when 3 starts, so then BT is super good. IE is also super good with assassins to make sure he always crits. And then RFC is really good to make sure that he keeps his distance so that he doesn't really get targeted. Also to give him more attack speed. And also to make sure that his spell cannot be dodged, because that can completely lose you some fights in some cases. That makes RFC really good. As mentioned, you will slow roll at level 7 with this board. You go for Shaco 3, Echo 3, then Talon 3. You don't really go for Katarina 3 because she will be replaced with Akali once you hit level 8. And once you hit level 8, this is what your board will look like. It will look like Shaco. You will take out Katarina and you will add in Akali and Zara for 5 Syndicate, just to make sure that the ability is always active on Shaco. That's pretty important. Also, Akali can do a lot of damage. Darius, when 2-starred with bodyguards, can actually do a decent amount of damage himself. And obviously, making sure that Braum is even more tanky is super important. When playing assassins, just make sure you're putting your frontline on 1 row down, just to open up the backline a little bit more. Next one up, we got Lux carry, and we are running 4 Arcanists, so we're adding in Victor, Malzahar, and Vex. Victor can be any Arcanist until we find him at level 8. For items for Lux, you really want blue buff, because if she kills a unit, she'll just need 1 more auto and then cast again. Hodge is there to give us healing, just to make sure that we can keep permacasting, and Jewel Gauntlet is there to make our spell crit. Since this is percentage ability power, going death cap can also be good, but that requires more rods and can be a bit harder to hit. There are also some people that don't want to run mana items on Lux, which is understandable, because if you have triple item Lux, like for example, say if you have death cap or IE over the blue buff here, she's going to be doing a lot of damage and probably going to be resetting on every single spell, or not every single, but a lot of them. Again, the frontline here is just Braum Leona, mostly because it just fits nicely with the synergies. And then we also have Yuumi in here for the Scholar ability. You could take out Janna to run for Academy, but the Academy units that we aren't running aren't really that great. And so therefore I would much rather just run Janna for Scholar, just to give our entire team more mana, especially Victor and Malzahar really likes that additional mana. And again, here you put your tank items on Braum, but you can also go for Vex 3-star with this comp and then itemize Vex. Vex 3-star is a really good tank, and so that will suffice, but most of the time you will itemize Braum. So next up, we have a Lissandra reroll comp. As for items on Lissandra, you want Archangels, because the fight is going to last for a very long time, since Lissandra can ult herself and make herself untargetable. Gunblade is the second item, because when she ults, she deals a lot of damage, especially with Archangels as it scales over time. And therefore she will heal to full in most cases. The third item can be whatever you want, honestly. Some people like Guardian Angel, just to make sure that when she pops out of the Guardian Angel, she's also wasting time getting more AP. And then she's also going to be ulting herself when she's super low in HP, and therefore heal to full again. But you can also just go for Jewel Gauntlet, or go for Death Cap, for example, just get even more AP to scale with the Archangels. As for the units, we are running 4 Scholars here. Just to make sure that Lissandra is generating mana as fast as possible. She has quite a high mana costing spell. I also forgot to mention that this is a slow roll at 7 comp. You actually had Enteric as the 7th unit. I don't know why I forgot to put him in, but yeah, this is what your level 7 board looks like, and then you're rolling for Lissandra 3-star, Zac 3-star, and then you can also run for Taric and Heimerdinger 3-star as well. Sire 3-star is not that great. If you hit Zac 3-star, you want to throw your other tank items on him, but if you are not in a spot to go Zac 3-star, you put your tank items on Dr. Mundo. If the reason why we are frontlining Lissandra here is because we want her to take a bunch of damage and then cast, heal up, and then as she takes more damage, she should be getting low, and then she'll cast herself, making all the other units target these 2 tanks instead. But if you feel that she gets bursted down quite quickly, you can move her to the backline here. Also, since we're running Socialite, if the Socialite, you would generally want Lissandra on the Socialite hex, but if it is in the backline here, then you don't always want her there. Then you can usually put Heimerdinger in that spot, because he can deal a decent amount of damage, especially with the 4 Scholars. So next one up is Urgot. For him, you want Deathblade, just give him more AD. Also scales really well with the Twin Shot. Rageblade is super good, scales super well with the Twin Shot synergy, and also makes him cast faster, and it scales really well with a spell. And then BT is there just to keep healing him up, because he only has 3 range. And also with 5 Chemtech, he gets a lot of damage reduction, so he becomes quite tanky while he's in the Chemtech state. And so therefore with BT, we are gaining a lot more effective HP on our carries. That's the reasoning behind these 3 items, but other items like, for example, Giant Slayer, i.e. Hurricane, can also work. His itemization is quite flexible. As for the other units, we are running 5 Chemtech, because we run Sac, Mundo, and Winner and Victor as well, because Victor shreds armor. And so then we run Lissandra as the 6th unit, and then we put in Janna for Scholar, and then we put in Tarek for Socialite. So you usually want Urgot in the Socialite Hex. As long as the Socialite Hex isn't in the front line, we want to put Urgot in it. So if it's in any of these 3 rows, then we put Urgot in it. If it is in the front line, we can put Dr. Mundo there. And we can also take out Tarek to play Orianna instead if we don't want to play him. Put your tank items on Dr. Mundo, and you can also put Sojin and AP items on Victor, and it can actually be a decent backup carry. And once you hit Jinx, you can usually take out Graves to put in Jinx, because running at 1 cost in the late game is not ideal, especially when he only gives 2 Twin Shots. So next one up is 5 Innovators. This is probably one of the most flexible comps in the game, because you can run it like this, where you slow roll at level 7 for Heimer 3-star with these items. You play Ezreal over Jace until you find him. And once you go for Heimer 3-star and Zillion 3-star, and you can also get Singed 3-star as well if you get lucky. And items for Heimer is blue buff, i.e. GG, but you can also just completely not run Heimer during your carry. And then you can, for example, take out the Orianna and Janna, and you can run snipers, so you can put in Caitlyn, and you can put in Jhin, and then you have like a clockwork comp going, and then you can put in the Scholars, then you can put Yuumi in at level 8, for example. This is just one example of how this Innovator comp can go. You can also, for example, take these 3 out, and then you can play Fiora with this this comp. Like, for example, if the Socialite Hex is in a bad spot, so you put in her, you put in Yone, and then you can put in a Clockwork unit again to get some more attack speed on your entire team, and you put in Orianna, for example. And this is like another way to run this comp. Essentially, these 3 units are super flexible and can kind of be anything. And obviously what Jhin's items want to be are mentioned earlier, and what Fiora's items want to be mentioned earlier. So next one up is Sion carry. For him, you want IAJG to make sure that his spell crits, because you're kind of all in on Sion's first cast for him to kill like a couple of units. And the other units, you just put him in the backline so that all the other units over here come around to the Sion. Talon can obviously be anywhere, he just wants to jump backline carries. Third item for Sion is just going to be Titans. The reason why we don't have healing is because we get 30% healing through Socialite, as we can see there with 3 Socialites. And we're also getting a ton of damage and mana, so we're just making Sion a super tank, also with 2 Colossus. He's going to become super tanky. As for the other items, you put tank items on Galio, and then you can also put mana and AP items on Seraphine, because you can actually do like a decent amount of damage, not that much, but when you have multiple items into the late game, you gotta throw it on somebody, and Talon and Swain are definitely not going to be doing any damage, or Tarek for that matter. But we are essentially all in on Sion. As for positioning, you usually want Sion on the corners, but obviously you want it to be where the Socialite Hex is. So if the Socialite spot is in like any of these 3 rows, then you generally don't want to play this comp, but if it's in any of the first rows, you really want to play this comp. If it's in the second rows, it's okay, but we usually want Talon we usually want Sion in the front line, because then he's able to reach, his spell is able to reach the backline, but if he's here and then these tanks walk up, then he's not hitting the backline. And hitting the backline is the power of this comp. Next one up is Trundle. It's another slow roll at level 6, since Cho'Gath is a Colossus. He counts as 2 units, that's why it's only 5. And here we have, we're playing 4 Bracers, and then we're playing Echo as a 5th unit for 2 scrap. Items for Trundle is going to be Rageblade and BT. These 2 are super important. With Trundle's spell, he gains attack damage, or he steals attack damage rather, every time he ults, so he'll be able to stack up a lot of damage as the fight goes on. And with BT, he's going to be able to like heal to full with like almost every single auto. It's absolutely bonkers. And pair this with Rageblade, and he is getting a ton of attack speed. If you just survive for a little bit, you're going to be fine with this comp. As for the third item, it can be another damage item like Giant Slayer, i.e. Deathblade. It can also be RFC to keep him safe, so you can put him behind your Bruiser frontline. Titans is good, and QSS is also, where's the QSS? There it is. That's also the last item. That's great. Also like Trap Claw Eye to make him block 1 CC. It's also good. As for Cho'Gath items, you're going to go Bramble Declaw, you're usually just going to go 2 tank items plus a healing item. So a healing item is either Gunblade or Hodge, both are fine. When you are slow rolling at level 6, you will go for Trundle 3, and then once you hit Trundle 3, you level up to 7. When slow rolling, you're going for Trundle 3, Vi 3-star, Cho'Gath 3-star, and Zac 3-star. You don't care about Echo at all, because he's getting replaced later, as I'll show you. And then as soon as you hit Trundle 3-star, you go to level 7, and then you take out Echo, and you add in Illaoi and Dr. Mundo for 6 bruisers. And then this is our level 7 board. And then once you hit level 8, you put in Tahm Kench. And then you can take out Illaoi to put in another unit, so you can put in a mutant if the mutant synergy is super good. So you put in either Malzahar or Kai'Sa. You can put in a Chemtech, so you can put in, for example, the Victor to shred armor. Or you can put in Jace for 2 enforcers. There's a lot of different options here, and it's just going to depend on the game and also on your augments. But this usually wants to be your core at level 8. This wants to be your core 7 units, and then you plus 1. So the last one up, this is kind of like a bonus comp. Just want to show you what you do if you are able to high roll and go level 9 with a lot of gold. Then you usually want to run either Jinx or Kai'Sa carry. As you can see, this comp is very expensive, and because Galio costs 2 units, we're still a level 9 comp. Usually the late game is going to be Jace, Vi, Jinx for both 2 enforcers and 2 sisters. And then you're going to run Orianna and Janna for 2 enchanters, and Yuumi as well for 2 scholars. You run Galio and Braum for 2 bodyguards. This is an insanely good comp, and if you lose with this, you probably lost to some crazy other stuff like a 3-star Yone or something like that. So yeah, those were all the comps. As I said, they will be linked down in an Imgur album, and they will show up here once they are live. And you can also join the Discord server. We've got a lot of other people talking here discussing the new set that just came out. So I will leave a link to the Discord in the description as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.